The Revolt of 1857, also known as the First War of Indian Independence, was significant for a number of reasons. It lasted from 1857 to 1858 and it involved soldiers, farmers, and other groups of people across North and Central India. Although it was ultimately suppressed by the British, it became a turning point in Indian freedom struggle. Now, what are the causes of the revolt? Now, these causes can be broadly categorized as political, economic, military, and religious. Let's look at them one by one. Under economic, we have heavy taxes. Peasants took loans from moneylanders at luxurious rates. Moneylanders evicted them because of non payment, thus becoming the new landlords. British discouraged Indian handicrafts and promoted British goods. So the Indian craftsman had to search alternate employment. There was high tariff duties imposed on Indian made goods. Zamindars and talukdars' lands were confiscated. Political causes? The broken pledges and promises of British led to suspicion in the mind of princes. Right of succession was denied to Hindu princes. Now, these policies were disrespectful of the Indian culture. Military causes. The Afghan Wars. The first Afghan War was from 1833 to 42. The British Army lost this war. The military discipline of the British Army had reached its lowest point. It was felt that the British were seen to be weak and it was felt that they could be easily defeated. There was discontent among the sepoys. There were restrictions on wearing caste marks. Crossing of the seas was considered equivalent to loss of caste. And Lord Canning he gave the General Service Enlistment Act, which said that all the future recruits to the Bengal Army would have to serve anyway their services were required. No foreign service allowance or bhatta was given when servicing in Punjab or Sindh, and there was racism in promotion. Religious causes include racial overtones, activities of Christian missionaries, abolition of sati, support to widow remarriage and women education. Now, these were not well received by the Hindus. There was a decision to tax temple and mosque, and there was also the Religious Disabilities Act 1856, which said that change of religion did not debar a son from inheriting property of the father. The introduction of patent 1853 Enfield cartridge was considered as a trigger factor for this revolt. Now, what happened was the British introduced a new bullet cartridge in the Enfield P53 rifle. To load the rifle, the soldiers had to bind the end of the cartridges, which was greased at the ends. Now, these cartridges were supposedly greased with animal fat from pigs and cows. Now, according to Hindu belief, cows are sacred and pigs are a taboo to Muslims. So, most of the soldiers considered this as an attempt of the British to befoul their religion. This infuriated the sepoys. It all started in Meerut. 19th Native Infantry in Behrampur refused to use the Enfield rifle. The 34th Native Infantry, where Mangal Pandey was present, he fired at the sergeant major and assassinated two officers on March 29, 1857. He was overpowered and executed on April 8th. According to V.D. Savarkar, Pandey was one of the early manifestations of nationalism in India. In his memory, every year on July 19th, we celebrate the Mangal Pandey Jayanti. There's also a Mangal Pandey Park which has been set up to recognize his contributions to the Indian freedom struggle in Barakpur in West Bengal. Now, Mughal dynasty was always seen as a traditional symbol of India's political unity. Thus, Bahadur Shah, who was old and powerless, he was proclaimed the Emperor of India. He was just a symbolic head. In Delhi, Bahadur Shah was just the acting leader. It was General Bakht Khan who led the Bareilly troops. The British resistance was provided by Lieutenant Willoughby, Lieutenant Hudson, and John Nicholson. The British captured Delhi on September 20, 1857. Bahadur Shah was made prisoner and sent to Rangoon, where he died in 1862. Royal princes were fired at point blank by Lieutenant Hudson. In Kanpur, the revolt was led by Nana Sahib, who was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. The British resistance was provided by Sir Hugh Wheeler and Sir Colin Campbell. Hugh Wheeler defended and he surrendered on 27 June 1857. It was Sir Colin Campbell who defeated the rebel army on 6 December 1857. Lucknow, it was Begum Hazrat Mahal. Here we had the British resistance provided by Henry Lawrence and Henry Havelock. In Rohilkhand, we had Khan Bahadur. Bihar, it was Kuwar Singh. Faizabad, Maulvi Almadullah. Rani Lakshmi Bai was present in Jhansi. There was the doctrine of lapse, wherein the Britishers refused to accept the adopted son to ascend the throne. So, with the aid of Tatya Tope in Gwalior, she was the one who led the revolt. Commander Hugh Rose, he was the one who killed Rani Lakshmi Bai on 3rd April 1958. In Allahabad and Banaras, it was Maulvi Liaquat Ali. So why did it fail? This revolt failed because it was localized, poorly organized. There was lack of leadership. All India participation was absent. There was no unified ideology. Poor armamentarium. Poor arms and equipment, swords, spears, few guns. On the contrary, the British armamentarium was very much advanced. All the classes did not join. Consequences. There was no religious interference. The right to adoption was acknowledged. The British realized the importance of princely states, thus, the right of adoption was acknowledged. There was a transfer of power. British Parliament on August 2, 1858 passed an act for the better government of India called as the Queen's Proclamation 1858. This declared Queen Victoria as sovereign of the British India and provided for an appointment of a secretary of the state of India. It abolished company rules and set up an Indian Council. The Governor General acquired additional title called as the Viceroy. This gave rise to a system of dual government, where the Queen had a control over the entire Indian administration. Various books were written with 1857 revolt as the core idea. Like we have the 1857 written by Dr. S.N. Sen, Sepoy Mutiny and Revolt of 1857 by R.C. Majumdar, Indian War of Independence by V.D. Savarkar. V.D. Savarkar and Ashok Mehta, they said that 1857 revolt was the first Indian War of Independence, whereas K.M. Panikkar called it National Revolution. This uprising is considered as an important watershed in the evolution of British policies towards colonial India. It marks the transition between the era of swift reform and a period of rigid conservatism. It influenced British policies. Earlier, the British policies were focused on expansion. Now, the focus changed to consolidation. There was development of infrastructure. Suez Canal opened in 1869 that eased travel between England and India. India was split into Bengal, Bombay and Madras presidencies. Vernacular Press Act in 1858 to prohibit the publication of Indian languages. Civil services. Minimum age of civil services in 1853 was 23. This was reduced to 22 in 1860, to 21 in 1866 and finally to 19 in 1876.